He was just fixing her computer. She was a billionaire who never let anyone close. One accidental photo sparked a question that changed everything. Do you think I'm pretty? Keep watching, because this emotional real-life story of a single dad and a lonely billionaire CEO will leave you in happy tears and remind you that love shows up in the most unexpected places. Liam Brooks always felt out of place on the top floor of Carter Global, where the air seemed quieter, the walls shinier, and the people somehow walked faster without making a sound. As an IT technician and a single dad who spent most mornings scrambling to pack school lunches or wiping peanut butter off counters, he never imagined he'd have a reason to stand where executives made million-dollar decisions on a Tuesday afternoon. But when the CEO's assistant called and reported that Ava Carter's computer had crashed during 2 investor meetings, he knew he had to go immediately. Ignoring the request wasn't an option. The elevator ride felt too long and too bright, giving him too much time to think about Mia, who was homesick on the couch with a mild fever and a stack of coloring books. He hated leaving her when she wasn't feeling well. But his neighbor insisted she'd check in throughout the day. Still, guilt clung to him like a heavy jacket. When the elevator doors opened, he stepped onto a hallway lined with black glass walls that reflected his own nervous expression back at him. He adjusted his worn laptop bag and followed the assistant's directions to the CEO's office, trying to breathe normally, trying not to imagine worst-case scenarios of him accidentally deleting some billion-dollar file. Ava Carter's office door was open when he arrived, but she wasn't inside. The room surprised him. Instead of the intimidating space he expected, the walls were warm with soft lighting and understated artwork, and floor-to-ceiling windows washed everything in natural light. Her desk was sleek and organized with only a laptop, a notebook, and a small potted plant that looked far too delicate to match the CEO's reputation. Liam moved toward the desk and powered on her computer, ready to run the usual diagnostics. After a few minutes, the machine flickered to life, then blinked, and a thumbnail preview popped onto the screen. He didn't mean to look at it. It appeared faster than he could turn his eyes away. The photo was of a woman sitting near a lake under bright sunlight. She wasn't posing. She wasn't polished like the magazine profiles he'd seen of Ava. She looked natural, thoughtful, almost peaceful. The system shut down again before he could process it, leaving him blinking at the blank screen with the faint impression of her expression still warm in his mind. He didn't have time to breathe before he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned, startled, as Ava Carter walked in with a tablet in one hand and the kind of posture that reminded him why everyone on the lower floors spoke her name like a warning. She was calm, collected, and had that quiet presence that made everyone else straighten their backs. "Is it fixed?" she asked. Her voice was smooth but carrying an undertone of expectation. Liam swallowed, trying to gather his thoughts as he forced his attention back to the keyboard. Still checking, the system restarted itself again. She stepped closer, setting her tablet on the desk. "This has been happening all week. Investors don't appreciate being disconnected mid-presentation." He nodded quickly. "I'll make sure it stops." Ava studied him for a moment longer, her gaze sharper than he expected. She didn't look irritated, she looked curious. Liam hoped she hadn't noticed how thrown off he had been by that accidental glimpse of her photo. He focused on the diagnostics window, trying to act like a man who definitely didn't see something he shouldn't have. But her eyes narrowed slightly, as if she sensed something. "Is there a problem?" she asked. The question wasn't harsh. It was perceptive. Liam felt heat rise in his neck. No problem," he said too fast. She raised a brow. "You're sure?" His silence betrayed him, and she shifted her weight, crossing her arms lightly. "You looked surprised when I walked in." He opened his mouth, searching for a professional explanation that didn't make him sound like someone creeping through her personal files. His brain, unhelpful as ever, offered nothing. Before he could come up with an excuse, she asked in a steady tone that stopped him cold. "What did you see?" And just like that, the tension in the room changed. He suddenly felt very aware that he was standing in front of the most powerful person in the company, holding the kind of secret he never meant to see. He took a breath, wishing he could rewind the last 5 minutes. This wasn't how he expected his day to go. Not even close. Ava didn't move from her place beside the desk as Liam struggled to find words, and the longer the silence stretched, the more he felt like the floor might open and drop him straight through 20 stories of glass and concrete. She didn't look angry, which somehow made it worse. She looked focused, almost patient, like she was waiting for him to decide whether he would tell the truth or scramble for a lie. He cleared his throat and tried to steady himself. "It was just a quick pop-up from your photo library," he said, speaking slowly so he didn't stumble. "I didn't mean to. It was only there for a second." Her expression didn't change, but she stepped closer, her attention locked on him in a way that made his shoulders tense. "You saw the picture by the lake." It wasn't a question. It was a statement from someone who didn't miss details. Liam nodded once, bracing for some version of an executive reprimand, a warning, maybe even security walking him out. Instead, Ava paused, folded her arms, and asked something he never would have expected from someone with her polished, controlled image. "What did you think of it?" The question caught him off guard so hard that he blinked twice before he could respond. "Think of it?" he echoed, unsure if this was a trap or a genuine inquiry. She tilted her head slightly, measuring his reaction. "Yes, you had a look on your face when I walked in. You saw it, and it meant something to you. What was it?" His instinct was to retreat behind professionalism, but the way she watched him, steady, calm, almost searching, made it clear she wasn't interested in a canned answer. Liam exhaled. "It wasn't anything bad. I just didn't expect to see you like that." Her brow lifted. "Like what?" He hesitated, knowing this was already beyond any IT appointment he'd ever handled. "You look peaceful," he said quietly, "and a lot softer than the version people talk about around here." She didn't react right away. Her eyes lowered slightly, and she leaned back against the desk, as if the words hit somewhere she didn't often let things land. For a moment, she didn't speak. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, just unusually honest. Then she asked, almost under her breath, "Do you think I'm pretty?" Liam felt his heart skip. The question was so unexpected that he wondered if he misheard her. Ava Carter, Billionaire CEO, the woman who intimidated entire conference rooms, was asking her IT technician if he thought she was pretty. He didn't know how to answer without stepping into dangerous territory. But she wasn't smirking or teasing. She wasn't fishing for flattery. She looked strangely serious, maybe even vulnerable, and that unsettled him more than any stern tone ever could. He spoke carefully. "I think the photo showed a side of you people don't get to see." Her eyes lifted to his. He continued. "And yes, you looked pretty, but it was more than that. You looked human, like someone who wasn't carrying the weight of this whole building for once." Ava inhaled slowly, almost like she hadn't expected honesty. Not real honesty. She turned toward the window, staring at the skyline for a few seconds before speaking again. "That picture was taken 2 years ago by my sister. It was the last time I went anywhere without bringing half a company with me." Liam wasn't sure what to say to that. He watched her shoulders rise and fall in a quiet breath. "People see me as a machine, efficient, precise, untouchable." She glanced at him over her shoulder. "I don't think they'd believe that photo was me." Liam rested his hand on the back of the office chair, grounding himself. "Maybe that's the problem. Everyone sees the version of you that fits their expectations. Doesn't mean it's the whole picture." Ava turned fully toward him now, her expression unreadable, but no longer cold. "You talk differently than most people here. You're not afraid to say something real." He shrugged lightly. "I don't have the energy to be anything else. Single parenting burns that out of you pretty fast." Her eyes softened with something close to curiosity. "You have a daughter?" He nodded. "Mia 8. She's home sick today." The corner of her mouth lifted almost imperceptibly. "Must be hard to do it all alone." "It can be, but she's the best part of my life." Ava nodded, looking down at her hands as if she was weighing something inside herself. "I don't have kids. Never thought I'd have the time or the stability for it." There was a quiet honesty in her tone, something she rarely lets slip. But sometimes I wonder what it would have been like to have a little version of me running around. Liam let her words settle before responding. It's not always easy, but it's worth every second. She looked back at him, her expression open in a way he hadn't seen before. Not the confident CEO mask, not the collected facade, but the real version of her, the one who felt too much and hid it too well. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The elevator doors began to close, breaking the moment only because life kept moving, even when they didn't want it to. She placed a hand on the doorframe, stopping it from shutting completely. "Thank you, Liam," she said. "For all of this, for being you." He smiled, warm and steady. "Anytime," he said as he stepped into the elevator. He watched her linger there, framed by the hallway light, looking both strong and vulnerable in a way that made his chest tighten. When the doors finally closed, Ava lingered in the quiet corridor. But the feeling that settled into her chest wasn't loneliness. It was something far more hopeful, something she hadn't let herself feel in years. And she knew with quiet certainty that this was only the beginning of whatever was growing between them. Something unexpected, something real, something that neither title nor circumstance could stop from unfolding. If you enjoyed this emotional twist on a single dad and billionaire CEO romance, make sure to subscribe to Drew Daily Stories for more heartwarming drama, unexpected love arcs, and stories that keep you hooked from the first line to the last. Your next favorite story is waiting.